Hello and welcome back to the Hasbajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time to see what happens when you combine each of Europe's top 5 leagues, those being the Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A and Liga, for the 2020-21 season into one giant mega league mishmash combination thing, and to see who comes out on top and of course who finishes in last. I did the exact same thing for the 2019-20 season, which was of course a little bit more convoluted to do as a result of the pandemic halting the season completely in Ligue 1 after 28 games, but this time around, thankfully, as all the leagues actually managed to finish their seasons with the correct number of games played, it is a little bit easier to calculate, although of course we do still have to go on a points per game basis since the Bundesliga teams play 34 games as opposed to the other 4 leagues' teams who each play 38, otherwise the experiment wouldn't be fairly conducted. Now, last year I called it a Super League, although given that not only does a Women's Super League exist in England and a Super League in Turkey as well, but also the notion of a Super League now carries extremely negative connotations after what happened in April, I don't really want to call it a Super League. But to be honest, I couldn't really think of another alternative, so if you have one, stick it down in the comments below. Like last time, if there are ties on a points per game basis between two teams, then goal difference will be the deciding factor, since I can't really do head-to-head records given that the vast majority of teams won't have played each other this season, and then if we are still level, then it will be based on goals scored. I will also give the statistic of where each team has finished in comparison to last season, although of course, all the promoted sides will have new next to them since they weren't part of the calculations last year. So without any further ado, let's investigate the 2020-21 Super League, or basically just what happens when you combine all of Europe's 5 major leagues into one. Like I always do with these kinds of videos, I'm starting with the highest placed teams first, since I think they are the ones whose positions will be most obvious to guess, and it gets more interesting the further down the list we go. Your 2020-21 winners are Inter Milan, who've had a barnstorming season under Antonio Conte, finishing on 91 points, more than any other team across Europe's top 5 leagues, to give them a points per game of 2.39, which is 0.21 lower than last season's winners Liverpool managed. Unlike last time out though, it is not the winners of each league who follow in places 2 to 5, as whilst Bayern, Man City and Atletico are in 2nd, 3rd and 4th respectively, La Liga's 2nd place team, Real Madrid, actually accrued 1 more point than Ligue 1 champions Lille did across the campaign, and so they take 5th place ahead of Ligue. The top 10 is rounded out by PSG, Barcelona, AC Milan and Atalanta, with European Super League powerhouses Juventus coming in 11th, some 6 places lower than last season. The biggest risers among the top 20 are Monaco, who have jumped 26 places to 12th after a fantastic campaign which saw them still in with a shout of winning the title on the final day, but the team that topped this particular list last time out, Liverpool, have fallen all the way down to 19th, dropping from 2.6 points per game to 1.82. However, perhaps the most satisfying team in the top 20 is Lyon, who managed to achieve exactly 2 points per game, yet given the quality of the teams above them, they only come in at 15th. 5 Serie A sides, 4 Bundesliga outfits, 3 Premier League teams, 4 Ligue 1 clubs and 4 La Liga squads form what I would have described as the European Super League had it not been for the chaos that unravelled last month, although it is worth noting that former ESL clubs Chelsea, Arsenal and Spurs haven't featured yet. They are all in the top 30 though, with Arsenal just squeaking into 30th place on goal difference ahead of Real Betis, who despite leaping a massive 41 places from 72nd last campaign to 31st in 2020-21, aren't actually the team who have made the most progress. Instead, that honour goes to West Ham, who put their miserable 2019-20 season behind them in which they finished 77th to qualify for the Europa League in the Premier League this time out and come in 25th in my table, some 52 places higher. Only 2 teams finished in the exact same position for 2 seasons running, and one of them is Leicester, who maintained 24th place, and of course stayed in 5th place in the Premier League too, and the highest new entry is Leeds United at 33rd, with other debutants Lens not far behind in 38th. Other noteworthy teams here include the likes of Lazio, who dropped 11 places to 21st, Marseille, who've had a bit of a come down this season amidst a lot of internal strife at the club to end up in 32nd, and Everton, who have undoubtedly improved this season to be in 34th, but I presume that still won't be enough for a star-studded Toffee squad. Moving on to the next 20 teams, and straight away we have two more teams who have made huge strides this season compared to last, as Aston Villa and Celta Vigo, who were the second and fourth lowest placed teams last year who didn't get relegated, have gone up by 44 and 39 places respectively, as they finished comfortably in mid-table in their separate leagues. By contrast, Hoffenheim, Granada and Wolves have suffered huge falls from grace as they've sunken down the league by 19, 20 and 28 places respectively to end up back in mid-table in this weird and wonderful league that I have put together. The only absolute tie by goal difference in the whole thing this season is in this little bracket, as Newcastle and Wolves finished dead even on points per game and goal difference, but only Newcastle scoring 46 goals, of which 18 came in their last 9 games, compared to Wolves' 36, the Magpies get the upper hand. So far, we've seen 14 teams from the Premier League, 12 from La Liga, 11 from the Bundesliga, although the lowest of those teams so far still comes in at 48th, which is quite impressive, and 12 from Ligue 1. But Serie A, despite having 5 teams finishing in the top 13, only see 5 more represented from their league from 14th to 65th, with only 9 sides scoring more than 50 points in 2020-21. Whilst most of the big teams have been and gone by this point, there are still a few left to feature, and some of them find themselves between 61st and 80th, which is the next bracket, as would probably be expected, to be featured. 6-time La Liga champions Valencia have endured a wretched season, with the turbulent ownership of Peter Lim not really being conducive to a high league standing this time around, and it has led them to ending up in a lowly 62nd by my calculations, only ahead of Southampton on goal difference. Fiorentina too have fallen by 21 places to 74 after a miserable campaign, and Getafe, Burnley and Reims all dropped by more than 30 positions each, 41 in Getafe's case, yet the La Liga side are still not the team who have suffered the worst drop in position from last season. That team is still yet to feature, and if you can guess who it is, then give yourself 10 points. You'll need them somewhere down the line, I'm sure of it. One other team I would like to highlight is Nantes, as despite finishing in 73rd, they are still not safe from relegation just yet, as they go into a relegation playoff against Toulouse to determine whether or not they will be in Ligue 1 next season, with the first leg taking place on the day that this video will go up. The 8-time Ligue 1 champions amassed the normalised holy grail of 40 points, but it still wasn't enough to lift them completely out of danger, and they've actually finished above 11 teams whose survival in their respective leagues has already been confirmed, which is quite remarkable. In all, in the top 80, 17 are from the Premier League, 18 reside in France, and 15 hail from Germany, Italy and Spain apiece, so only the relegated teams feature in the lowest 18 sides from both England and France, although it is worth noting that it is only the 3 teams who have either been relegated or are in a relegation playoff in the Bundesliga who take their place amongst the worst of the worst for this season. I'm going to reveal the teams who finished from 81st to 90th and then 91st and 95th before finally showcasing which 3 teams have been the biggest load of dross throughout the course of the season, just to add a little bit of tension to proceedings. Alaves in 81st, much like Getafe in 80th, obtained 38 points in the 38 game season to give them the average of 1 point per game, which in a system filled with arbitrary decimal places is really nice to see. The lowest placed team who survived in their league this season is Elche, who come in at 85th, 1 place below the Bundesliga's representative in their relegation playoff in the form of FC Köln, meaning that, unlike last year, the bottom 13 teams have all been relegated to their respective countries' second tiers, and thus will be unable to partake in this experiment next year. Furthermore, the second and final team to remain exactly where they were the previous season, and thus the worst placed team who still managed to stay up last time, Werder Bremen, ran out of luck this time around, as their 40-season stay in the Bundesliga has come to an end after relegation on the final day of the season. From 91st to 95th, we see each of the relegated Premier League teams side by side, namely Fulham, West Brom and Sheffield United, alongside Crotone of Serie A and Eibar of La Liga, who came last in Spain's top flight, meaning that La Liga is the first league to see all of its teams feature, followed very swiftly, of course, by the Premier League. Earlier on, I intimated that there was one team yet to feature who hold the unwanted honour of having plummeted down the standings the most compared to last season, and that is of course Sheffield United, whose astonishing 2019-20 season would have been hard to replicate, and so it proved, as they dropped by 54 places to 94th from 40th last season. If you managed to guess the Blades, then take your 10 points with pride. However, now comes the small matter of seeing who are the lowest placed 3 teams across all of Europe's top 5 leagues on a points per game basis, with 1 team each from Liga, Serie A and the Bundesliga all to feature. Those teams are, in order, Dijon, Parma and Schalke, with the 7-time Bundesliga champions having a season from hell, but also a season which, given their recruitment policy, financial instability and 5 managerial changes this campaign alone, was always likely to happen at some point. They didn't even average 1 point every 2 games in the Bundesliga, winning just 3 games in all and losing 24 in 34 to end up on 16 points for the season. Meanwhile, Parma fell from 54th to 97th on just 0.53 points per game, and Dijon did only marginally better than them on 0.55 points per game to finish in my, for want of a better phrase, Super League's bottom 3. In all, congratulations must therefore go to Inter Milan for winning both Serie A and this league, which they won't really care about or even know about, but they've won it anyway, so congratulations to them, and commiserations to Dijon, Parma and Schalke fans who have seen their teams go through abysmal campaigns and end up being the worst teams across Europe's top 5 leagues in the 2020-21 season. And that just about wraps up today's stupid experiment on what happens when you combine each of Europe's top 5 leagues into one for the 2020-21 season. And if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you have not done so already. And once you have pressed that subscribe button, you can ring the little notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a video straight away. And if you want me to do this for other seasons, so this exact same experiment for maybe the 2018-19 season, or just any other season in general, then let me know down in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching, of course, and until next time, I'll see you then.